For more on what to expect tonight, let's bring in former National Security Advisor for the Trump administration and retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg. General, thank you so much for being with us today. I want to start off by asking you, the bar is not very high here for Joe Biden. He's getting up on a stage with allies, and he's trying to prove, essentially, his mental fitness. To me, that is not the job of a president. When a president gets up to the podium, he's supposed to project leadership and strength. That's not necessarily something that we're seeing. Are you worried about this?
Yeah, Jackie, first, thanks for having me. Of course you are. I am, and so should the whole world be, and especially an American, as an American, because presidential leadership is so very critical, and it's not the leadership that you see in a major press conference or with a bunch of allies. It's what happens when that leadership is needed in the middle of the night. You know, most things happen, bad things happen, in the middle of the night here in the United States. And what kind of reaction are you going to get, the thinking behind that, the solid thinking, and the informed thinking as well? And I think all Americans are concerned right now, does this president, President Biden, have the mental capacity and the endurance to make those hard decisions? I will tell you, Jackie, those are hard decisions. When you sit in the Oval Office, a president has the toughest job in the world. And I've never seen, not one, easy decision have to come out of the Oval Office. They're hard, but you've got to make them fast, early, and with a determination to follow through.
General, I want you to listen to John Ratcliffe. He had an interesting take on just how make or break this upcoming news conference is. In fact, I'll tell you what he said. What he said was, hey, everybody's talking about a make or break news conference, but the truth is, world leaders have been watching Biden every single step for years. They've already made up their minds. Is that why they're all meeting together right now? Because they see this opportunity that may be slipping away?
You know, Brian, look, when you get involved in a personal relationship, as we all have, there are tells you pick up real fast. And if they're consistent over time, then it raises the level of concern. And the foreign leaders have seen this. By the way, Americans have seen this as well. It's just mainstream media has basically covered for President Biden for the last year or 18 months. And so world leaders see this. And so what they say is, okay, how do we correct this? Where do we work with other allies? Do we go by ourselves? Who do we reach out to? Who do we talk to? And that's one of the reasons why this week, especially the NATO week here in Washington, D.C., so many allies have reached out to other people and say, hey, what do you think's going on? What's happening? Because they're not sure not only what's going to happen in the election coming up in a few months, but if he stays on track to remain as president, what kind of decisions can we expect from him? So, of course, there's concerns. There should be concerns. The United States of America is the preeminent power in the world, and they want to know who's really leading this nation.
Well, and General, I want to tap into your experience and broaden this out. I mean, we just talked about the president's fitness for another 4 years. You have Xi and Putin meeting this week, deepening that relationship. Based on everything that you've seen in your lifetime, is this the most dangerous time that we've ever faced as a nation?
Well, not necessarily the most dangerous time we faced as a nation, but I will tell you, this is the most dangerous time we faced since 1938. During the Munich conference, when there was declared by Chamberlain peace in our time, which was a year later we were involved in a world war. Well, when you look at what's been happening around the world, you know, let's just state a few things. You know, I would have never thought that Chinese military troops would be trained in Belarus, just to the north of Ukraine. I never thought you'd see what was happening in the Middle East and what's going on with Hezbollah and Hamas. And that's kind of saying, well, Israel, we kind of draw both sides, you know, that you're wrong on some things and right on others, instead of solidly backing our great ally in the Middle East with the teams that you've got there with Benjamin Netanyahu, criticizing Netanyahu and the Israelis. I've never seen that before. Letting ships get shot at in the Red Sea by the Houthis from Yemen. And you see the Far East as well. So all of these things that are going on, you're just one step away from something catastrophic happening because somebody makes a mistake and then you're involved in a major war. Yeah. You know, I could predict, you know, as you go forward, I could show you how you could start a war without even trying. And then when you look at, again, what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, that is a major war. And what I mean by that, very simply, when you look at the size of the Russian army in Ukraine right now, it's around 460,000 troops. The entire active American army is only 440,000. So they've got basically the size of an American army in the field. And their losses are enormous on both sides.
Yeah.
When you look at the 100,000 dead with Ukraine and over 300,000 dead with the Russians. You know, they left, the Russians, then the Soviets. They left Afghanistan after they'd lost 15,000. Now they've lost 300,000. We left Vietnam when we lost in the range of 60,000. So this is a major war, and it's going to have to be brought to a conclusion. Oh, by the way, the only person I think that can do that happens to be Donald J. Trump. And I think he's on the path to do that. I think he's got the right idea how to do it, and I would put money on President Trump bringing this to a conclusion.
It's incredible perspective that you give us for context, especially some of those numbers, General. I want to round it out with this because there are reports indicating that NATO members are preparing for, or the officials are preparing for a Trump presidency. Also reports indicating, if that were the case, that Trump might pare back some of the intelligence sharing that we do with our European allies. You have had some meetings with officials. Can you shed any light on this?
Yeah, to start with, I noticed the same article out of Politico, and they talked about sources. Look, I will tell you very candidly, nobody speaks for President Trump, and nobody speaks for the campaign, but the campaign and President Trump. But when my experience with the president in 4 years when he was in the White House, there were always rational decisions, and he knew the value of intelligence because he used to get the presidential daily brief all the time, and the intelligence that we gained from that. Intelligence is a two-way street. We give some, the other side gives some back to us, and it's absolutely essential. So when somebody says that, and their sources unnamed, that he's going to do that, well, my experience in 4 years, that's no. He's not going to do that. He's a very rational actor on the world stage. He's a very rational leader, and he knows the importance of good intelligence. So I'd say, well, one, who are these quote sources? And second, where's he getting that from? It sounds, I mean, it may sound good, but he knows better than that, and so I wouldn't expect that at all. I think his decision will be made after he has, as he has happened in the last 4 years when he's president. It'll be a very reasoned decision based on knowledge he's picked up not only individually but collectively as well from his advisors.
Fair point. Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.